somebody asked me, hey, if life is a game, how do you play the game of life and win? If I take just a few moments to go to what I believe is the biggest key, the biggest rule in the game, is to realize that perception equals creation, right? When you realize the power of your thoughts, and to really go to this understanding, not just conceptually, but to really experientially understand that my thoughts, although invisible, although intangible, have a lot of energy and have a direct and indirect effect on my reality. And as long as I'm not in control of the perception I create in my life, I will not be playing the game of life consciously. I will be a victim to the subconscious perceptions I have based on the program, based on what people told me, based on whatever is happening that I'm just reacting to. Often we just react, we create story, we create meaning, either based on what other people tell us, based on what we read, based on the conditioning that we have. And so we keep on thinking, playing, interacting with the game in the same old way. And so when you have a perception that is never changing, that is like in a box, and you're constantly thinking inside of the box, you will live based on the construct of that box. And that box right now is your life. You have a certain name, a certain way to live your life, right? Explain who you are and what you do and what you have a certain way of thinking of yourself, of your life, of your reality. And this is neither good, bad, right or wrong. We are all in a box, the identity box, all the things we can do, all the things we feel like we can do that is too far, that is too much, all the things that define us, that have shaped us, all the thoughts and beliefs that we live by. So as long as you live between that box, you will be limited by how much that box can deliver. So the game of life is to realize that, okay, if the game of life is me choosing my perception so it can start to influence my reality along with my actions, along with how I show up and so on. But at the core is that, okay, I'm gonna need to be willing to perceive my situation, myself, money, people, relationship, the world differently. Because if my life is a reflection of who I am, then on some level, if I'm not happy with my result, if I'm not happy with what I want, with what I have, with where I am and so on, right? Then my perception needs to change. My belief about money, my belief about the work, my belief about finance, my belief about health, and my belief about myself, whatever the context may be, somewhere you need to be willing to think greater. And when you become willing to think greater, meaning you stop letting your memory, the past conditioning, control the way you think, control the way you perceive your current situation, and you start to use your imagination to start really perceiving reality through a completely different way. And this is why in this channel we often talk about becoming, the process of becoming, shifting your identity first. How would the person that lived the life that you already want to have will be perceiving your current situation? How would that version of you relate to money, relate to people, relate to love, relate to health, relate to the world, relate to yourself, relate to everything else in your life? How would you be thinking differently? What attitude would you be living in? What energy would you be living in? What would you be doing differently in your life? What would you no longer tolerate? All these things, I guarantee you that if you're living in that box, on that frequency, on that lifeline, whatever you want to call it, and you want to be here, there is a gap in consciousness between here and here, meaning there's a gap in perception between here and here. And again, if perception equals creation, you cannot become a slave to the same old perception, the same old ideas, the same old belief, and expect anything else to really change in your life. The challenge is that your ego mind will tell you that, okay, when my situation change, then I'm happy to see myself differently. Unfortunately, as long as you wait for something, sometime, someplace to define and redefine you, you are going to wait for a long freaking time. Life is a process of creation, and that process of creation starts by you creating your own freaking perception yourself, not based on what was 20 fucking years ago, not based on what somebody told you when you were young, not based on what you created in your mind when you were young and you didn't know any better, but based on who you want to be now, by constantly and consciously using your imagination to think greater, to embody that level of reality and that energy. And it starts with your perception. When you can do that, you can sustain that, life will start to give you opportunities. Things will happen. You know what they say, when the person is ready, the master appears or the door opens, right? And then you create situation, interaction, events that can take you to the next step. And before you know it, you change the box and you start to become a conscious creator of your reality, meaning you're playing the game of life by understanding the rules that you create your own reality. And of course, there's so many other things, because really we are co-creating this reality, but that's for another video. But if you take responsibility for what you can control in your life, something's bound to change, and you maintain that with enough repetition and momentum, the momentum will start to really become bigger and bigger and bigger. And over time, you're going to build that conviction that, holy shit, perception really equals creation, because now I have enough experiences to know without a doubt that it is true. Let me know what you think down in the comment. As always, thank you for watching this video. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of this type of video. Enjoy the game. See you next time. Be well.